Well, now that the Super Bowl has concluded, congratulations to the LA Rams on winning their second Super Bowl title. Um, it's still mock draft Monday. You know, this is now after the Super Bowl. Now we are starting to head towards free agency, and you're going to see a lot of movement, okay? So, like we saw in the Senior Bowl, you saw a lot of movement with players. It's happening now that the Super Bowl is over. You're going to continue to see prospects move up and down. I think the biggest thing is that the Dallas Cowboys are in a very good position. You're not like out of the realm of getting a good prospect, but at the same time, you know, you're still looking at getting something at the very end. Um, so with that being said, before we begin, if you guys could like the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're new here. I am trying to hit 10,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Doesn't take too long to do to subscribe, and if we hit that goal by the end of the year, I will eat two of the world's hottest chips. So we're on good pace, so hopefully we can continue that. And make sure to hit the notification bell as well. So before we begin, like we do always, I want to first go over the draft needs and a couple of other things. So let's go ahead and get into that. So look, I understand that in the past couple of videos, my needs have not changed, but I have decided to now move the needle a bit on some of these needs. So, to start things off, offensive line still remains your number one need. I believe that based off of the situation, you're going to lose Connor Williams in free agency. On top of that, you need to improve that interior of the offensive line, excuse me. So, I think that it's important that the Cowboys do that. That's why it's the number one need right there. I also think that you can include left tackle in this instance because with Tyron Smith's inability to stay healthy, that's a problem. Then, I would say that the second need that the Dallas Cowboys have to address is edge rusher. Yes, edge rusher moves up into a must-address need because it looks more and more unlikely that Randy Gregory will return. And as a result, I think that the Cowboys could have the result in getting an edge rusher in the first round. You know, whether you agree with that or not is one thing, but I will say that the Dallas Cowboys do need to attack edge rusher considering that you're probably losing Randy Gregory and also to prepare for a possible situation where you depart with DeMarcus Lawrence. The next two positions I'm going to just put in rapid succession are linebacker and wide receiver. These are pretty easy because I've already talked about them. Both positions have four guys that are leaving in free agency, and I think that, honestly, based off of this draft class, you could get some guys in the later rounds to fill these holes. You got plenty of guys that can add speed elements and all that other stuff, but for now, I would say that those two are kind of like a back need at this point in time. You have safety and kicker. This comes down to the fact that your kicker is unreliable and your safeties, you're losing three of them, so unless you bring a couple back, it's still a massive need. Your secondary needs are tight end, defensive tackle, and I would be willing to throw in possibly running back because of the fact that next year, what's his face? Pollard's contract is up. So you might look at getting a young running back in this draft. So those are my secondary needs and primary needs. So now that we have established what those needs are, I think it's now time to get into the two-round mock. We're going to keep doing that until free agency hits, then we'll start doing three-round mock drafts. So without further ado, let's get started with the first selection of this draft. Trevor Penning, tackle, Northern Iowa. So look, it's the first time that we've seriously taken a tackle in this draft, but Trevor Penning is a mauler. Okay, he showed that in the Senior Bowl, and I think that's the primary reason why he has been jumping into the mid-first round in terms of a selection there. I think that you getting him would be awesome. You get someone that can be plug and play, and he'll be a fantastic player for you, number one. But number two, you're getting one of the better lineman prospects in this draft. I think that if the Cowboys were lucky, they could have easily snagged him if his stock didn't move up, but of course it did because of how well he performed at the Senior Bowl. So as a result, like I said, his draft stock has moved up. I think he's a guy that you can plug in at left guard temporarily, and then you can move him out to left tackle or right tackle, depending on what you want to do there. For me, I would go like I talked about with Rashawn Slater. You plug him in at left guard, you play him there for that first year, see what happens with Tyron Smith, and you go from there. Now, if you feel like he's a better guard, you can plug him there, and you can move Terrence Steele over to left tackle. Like, you have multiple options, and I stress this a lot to Cowboys fans, that the Dallas Cowboys have options when it comes to their offensive line. They can shuffle it around any way, shape, or form, but they have to stick to it. It's one thing when you have options and you stick to it and you go forward from there, but it's another thing when you shuffle the line around, and that's what screwed the Cowboys last season. I think with you getting a young prospect in Trevor Penning, you can further get closer to shoring up the entire offensive line. I think your right side is fine, but you need to fix that interior in the left side. I mean, I understand that Tyron Smith is still very good when he's healthy, but that's the problem when he's healthy. Hurt guys stay hurt, and unfortunately, Tyron Smith is in that category. So you're probably looking at a situation where you either keep Tyron as a part-time player or you draft someone to replace him. And this is one of those situations. So with that being said, Trevor Penning's the pick at 24 because he was the only remaining offensive lineman prospect there, surprisingly, and none of the edge rushers, wide receivers, like there wasn't a whole lot of guys there that I would justify with the 24th overall pick. I would have probably traded back. But let's go ahead and get into pick 56 of this mock draft. Phildarian Mathis, interior defensive lineman, Alabama. So the first defensive lineman that I've ever taken in these mock drafts, and he's a guy that I would really, really love for the Cowboys to take. A stud in terms of being able to stop the run, and more importantly, he continues to shore up that interior, which the Cowboys need to still, fix. Yes, you do have Neville Gallimore, you got Tristan Hill, you have Osa Odigizua, you have a lot of those guys, but the big thing that I'm zoned in on is you try to keep adding playmakers. And he would be one of them. He was a key cog in that Alabama interior defensive line, and I would want to try and get one of those. And, there are plenty of other guys on the board that I would love if, in terms of the interior defensive line in the first round, but they weren't there. So I think that the biggest thing is you have to come into this draft with all options on the table. And I think that Mathis would be an awesome selection when you kind of think about what he can do. He's one of the reasons why Barmore, the guy that went to New England last year, there's a reason that he was put on rotation duty. And it's primarily because of Mathis. So look, I would say that if you are if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you need to seriously contemplate taking another interior defensive lineman or edge rusher with this pick. But again, you can't just be stagnant. You cannot stress enough the continuing addition of more players to the interior defensive line. Hence why I think it's important that you either you go with the best guy on the board. And he was the best guy on the board. None of the tight ends were there that justified this pick. And he was honestly, a lot of times I've been seeing him in the third to second round. So if you're the Cowboys and you can get a guy like him, that would be awesome. So those are my picks for this, this particular mock draft. What do you guys have to say? Do you like this? Do you have other options that you would do in the first two rounds? But we're going to keep moving around, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's mock draft. If you can like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, that'd be awesome. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys? Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.